everyone, Colin Cadet here for WoodWorkWeb. Today we've got a great little project for you. Today we're going to be making this great little gift wine box. What's nice about it is it allows you to use up the scraps that you probably already have laying around in your shop, because we're going to be using small pieces and little strips of wood. So it's a perfect little project for that. What's more, I can guarantee you, if you show up at a retirement or a birthday party with a little gift box like this with a bottle of wine inside, you're going to be invited to every other event in the future because people love these little things. So stay tuned and watch how we make the little wine gift box. I'm here at the router table and I've installed a 3/8 round over bit, so that's going to round over the corners, and I've already set it up and I've checked it, it's all ready to go. And you can see I've got all of my wood here, all of my scrap pieces, and they're of various lengths. What I'm going to do is I'm going to round over both sides of this wood that I'm going to be using, and then I'm going to take it to the table saw and just cut it in strips. So let's get busy and start running all of this wood through. Now we're at the table saw and we've got our wood here, and what we want to do now is take all of the wood that we've rounded over and we want to cut it to proper width. And most of the wood we were able to just cut it in half because it's just scrap lumber, and that's what we're using. Now I wanted to use my blade guard here, but unfortunately this blade guard at about 3/4 of an inch, it hangs up on part of it, so I've uninstalled the blade guard and I have put in a splitter there. And if you don't have a blade guard, you really want to be using a splitter, and you can even buy those third-party ones to fit on most saws. So now to figure out what the blade setting wants to be, or the fence setting, of course these little strips are going to be basically 3/4 by 3/4 of an inch. So it's pretty easy to set the height of the blade about 1/2 to 1/4 of a tooth above the material that you're going to be cutting, and in this case I just set it to the width of the wood because it's already 3/4 of an inch. So let's go ahead and start making some cuts. Now for cutting our boards to length, or our strips to length, there's a few choices. You could use a chop saw, set up a stop block on a chop saw. You could set up a miter gauge on your table saw. If you had a piece of wood a little bit longer than this, for example, you could set up a stop block on it. But what we're going to be doing today, we're going to be using our cross-cut sled. And I've already set a stop block up here. And so all I need to do, and I think I'm going to be able to run a few of these at the same time. That's one of the beauties of these bigger sleds like this, is you can actually gang a little bit of work. So I'm actually going to just put the wood up to the edge of that, and just run it forward. And I've installed a crosscut blade in my saw now, and it should give us some very nice cuts. The only thing I have to watch out for, I need to make sure that I have one good end cut on whatever side I'm going to be cutting off. The good end needs to be against the stop block so that we cut the other end. So I have checked all of these ahead of time, and they're all nice and sharp, and I'm just going to go ahead now and we'll start cutting all of these to length. Now, before I start cutting these boards to length, I wanted to show you something. Some of these boards have a little defect in it, a little knot, and rather than cut those knots out, I've elected to leave them in because it adds a little bit of character to the projects that you're making. So make sure the knots are tight and that it doesn't look like they're going to fall out. Now this wood is very dry and these knots are nice and tight, so hopefully they won't fall out over time. If they do, sometimes you can glue them in, but on a project like this, it's not going to be all that important. Now the little box is going to have two gable ends, and obviously the top of them is going to be rounded. And how I determined the size of the box and the size of the gables, I knew how long the box needed to be and I knew how wide it needed to be. So what I did was I put together a whole bunch, I cut a whole bunch of little blocks, all 1 inch long, and I glued them to some simple painter's tape. And the advantage with that is you can move these in all different angles. So what I did was I got a can. I started off with a few different things. I ended up with this can, which happens to be 4 inches across here. In fact, it's a little bit bigger than 4 inches here and a little bit smaller than 4 inches here. They're actually not parallel here. But anyway, so I put it on like that, and I set it up, and you need to have a bottom. So I put that like that, and I just kind of dragged it so that it was tight at the top, then just lifted that off, and that gave me what looked like a very nice design. So all I needed to do then was to measure from the bottom to the top. In this case, it's 5 3/8 inches. So now, in order to make the tops, the gables, all I need to do is position that on there, and just draw a line around that like that, then measure from there to there, and I'll do this off camera because this isn't the best way to measure this, and then cut that off, and that will give me the gable end. And that's how we're going to do that. Now what I'm going to do right now, I'm going to measure the other one, and we'll actually go to the bandsaw and cut this off, and then we'll cut this to length after we've cut this off with the bandsaw and sanded the top here so that it's nice. Here we are at the bandsaw, and the bandsaw is already set up. Bandsaws are one of the dustiest tools, so you want to make sure that you've got good dust control for your bandsaw. Now to clean up this top end, I'm just going to use my belt sander that I've positioned on its side here, and I've actually clamped the two boards together here so that we get them exactly even. So I'm going to go ahead now and do that. One final thing that we want to talk about again before we do the assembly, and that is the bottom. What are you going to do with the bottom of your little box here? What I hate to see on boxes like this is where somebody builds a beautiful box and then the bottom of the box, they just nail a piece of plywood on from the bottom. It really takes away from any of the expertise that woodworker used to get to that point. There's a few things that you could do. You could run a dado along here and then on the inside of two of the strips so that they all line up so that you could actually put this like a drawer, like we do with drawer bottoms. So you could do that so that it's inset at the very bottom. What I'm going to do with mine, oh, and the other thing you could do, you could actually, once this is all put together, you could actually rabbet out that inside here so that you take just a little chunk of that out all the way around. You could actually do that on a router table, and then you could inset the bottom into it, and then you could tack it in from there, glue it, tack it in from there. I think what I'm going to do, I'm either going to do that or I'm going to actually, after I assemble this, I'm actually just going to glue some very thin strips all the way around the inside so that it's all level, and I'll probably tack those on as well, and then I'll just drop what'll sit on top of that will be the bottom, and again I'll glue that on as well. So that's kind of what I'm thinking I'm going to do, is just to glue 4 little strips on, and that will then be the base so that when this sits flat you can't see the bottom of the box. What I'm going to do with the assembly for mine, I'm just going to use a little bit of glue on either side of the gables, and I'm just going to tack it with my air compressor, with my nailing gun. So I've got the box all glued together, and I do have a gap on this side, and that's exactly, I'd planned for that because I'm going to show you how we're going to cut the top off of this and why there needs to be a little bit of a gap there. So we're going to let this dry and harden, and we'll come back to it in a couple of hours and we'll be able to finish it up. Okay, we've let this dry, actually let it dry overnight, and it's very well. It's very firm, very hard. A lot of you are going to say, well, how are you going to open the lid? Well, that's what we're going to do next. We're actually going to go to the table saw, and we're actually going to cut the gable ends. I finally got a chance to put the hinges on, and I did the base as well, and I'll show you a close-up of what I did there. Now you can see the bottom here, all I did was put a couple of little strips. I just cut a couple of 4 little strips actually on the table saw and just glued them in, and if you look closely you can actually see where I pinned them. These very small little 23 gauge pins for that. And then all I did on the inside, because we'd already measured it, it just dropped in, and I just ran a little bit of a bead of glue around it. So this concludes our video on making the little gift box. In this case, we made a gift box for a lovely bottle of Robert Mondavi wine that we're going to use as a gift. Now, we didn't talk about finishing. You could pre-finish this. We're big fans of Krylon products. You could use, there's spray stains, there's clear finishes like this one, or you can leave it natural like I'm going to do with this one. Whatever you do, I can guarantee you this is going to be a big hit wherever you go, to whoever you give this to. So we ask, if you like this video, we ask you to subscribe to our channel. We also suggest that you go to WoodWorkWeb because there will be an associated article that goes along with this, and we'll detail some of the things that we weren't able to cover fully in the video here. So, I'm Colin Canet for WoodWorkWeb. Thanks for watching.